Welcome to the Leadership Blueprint. We're diving deep into what it truly takes to build thriving organizations and inspire effective leadership. Join us as we explore the strategies, insights, and stories behind creating high-performing teams and lasting success. Now we'll join Paul and Mary in this episode so that we can build something great together.
You know, in a world where we're just constantly bombarded with information, it can feel, well, almost impossible to find the insights that truly matter, especially for something as vital as a thriving workplace.
Absolutely. There's so much noise out there.
Exactly. And that's why today we're doing a deep dive into a concept that's proving to be just foundational for any team, any organization, really: psychological safety. Our exploration today, it pulls from a key white paper by Kyle Bradshaw, Ph.D., from February 25, 2025, but also foundational research from people like Edmondson and hard data from major players like Google, Gallop, and SHRM.
Right. And our mission here in this deep dive is really to cut through all that noise. We want to deliver the most important nuggets, the key insights from these sources.
Yeah.
We want to give you a crystal clear understanding of what psychological safety is, why it has such a profound impact, and how it truly shapes teams and whole organizations, actually.
I'm really looking forward to getting into these findings because there are some truly compelling data points here, and the tangible benefits are quite remarkable. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So we hear this term, psychological safety, quite a bit, right? And sometimes it can feel a little bit like a buzzword. What, at its core, is psychological safety? I mean, beyond just feeling good at work.
That's the perfect place to start. According to Amy Edmondson's foundational work, back in 1999, she defined it as a shared belief that the workplace is safe for interpersonal risk-taking.
Interpersonal risk-taking. Oh,
exactly. So in practical terms, this means employees feel they have the freedom to, express their ideas, to admit when they've made a mistake, maybe seek help when they need it, or offer feedback.
Right.
All without that fear of embarrassment or rejection or any kind of negative repercussion. Think of like a software team.
Okay.
If a junior developer spots a potential bug in the code, like right before launch, in a psychologically safe place, they'll immediately flag it,
right,
preventing a major issue later.
Sure. Makes sense.
But in a fear-based culture, they might hide it, hope it goes unnoticed. And, well, that can lead to disaster.
So it's definitely more than just a nice to have then. It sounds like our sources really emphasize this isn't just some soft skill, it's the cornerstone.
It absolutely is. It's the foundational element for high-performing teams. It's essential, really, for fostering innovation, collaboration, and resilience, especially in today's, incredibly dynamic business environment.
Okay. Now, if you're wondering what the hard evidence looks like, the research here is truly compelling. What does the data actually tell us about the impact?
Well, it tells us a lot, actually. Edmondson's original research, the 1999 stuff, clearly showed its critical role in team learning behavior.
Team learning? How so?
Her study showed that teams with higher psychological safety were just far more willing to discuss errors openly, to learn collectively from them, and adapt more effectively because of it. And this really stems from employees feeling secure enough, secure enough to voice concerns or propose new ideas without expecting negative consequences.
Right.
And then you have Google's famous project Aristotle, back in 2015. Yeah. That really amplified this whole understanding. They looked at hundreds of their teams.
Yeah, I remember reading about that.
And they found that psychological safety was the most critical factor, the number one thing distinguishing their most successful teams from all the rest.
Wow. The most critical factor. That's a remarkable finding. And the quantitative impact Google uncovered is striking too, isn't it?
It really is.
They found that teams with high levels of psychological safety actually outperformed others by, 20%?
Yeah, significant 20%.
Right.
These teams weren't just, happier. They were much more likely to share diverse perspectives, to really engage in collaborative problem solving.
Which I imagine lays that foundation for innovation and adaptability you mentioned.
Exactly. That's not a marginal gain. It suggests psychological safety might just be the secret ingredient, the thing that transforms competent teams into truly innovative engines.
That really drives home the point that this isn't just about feelings. So for organizations thinking bigger picture, what are the actual measurable business outcomes? The tangible payoff associated with fostering this kind of environment.
Oh, the impact goes way beyond just qualitative improvements. Gallup's 2020 findings, for instance, they revealed a strong correlation between psychological safety and critical organizational metrics, like bottom line stuff.
Okay, like what?
Companies that actively prioritize it reported, get this, 27% higher profitability.
Wow, 27%.
Yep, and 22% higher productivity, and maybe most impressively, 40% lower turnover rates.
40% lower turnover. Those aren't minor shifts at all. These figures clearly underscore the very real economic value then of cultivating such a culture.
Absolutely.
We're talking direct bottom line impact. So how does that deeper employee engagement you talked about translate specifically into those kinds of numbers?
Well, it's fundamentally about discretionary effort.
Right.
When employees truly believe their voice matters and they feel safe using it, they are far more likely to invest that extra effort, the effort they don't have to give.
Got it. Going the extra mile.
Exactly. And this heightened engagement, it directly drives higher customer satisfaction because people are more invested in the product or service. It leads to improved product quality because issues get flagged and solved sooner. And it creates greater organizational agility.
Which it gives you that competitive edge.
Right. All critical advantages for sustaining a competitive edge in really any market today. It means people are more willing to step up, innovate, solve problems proactively.
Okay, so it's clear why this matters so profoundly. But the big question for many organizations is always, how? You know, where do they even begin when trying to build this kind of environment?
Yeah, that's the crucial part, and leadership plays an absolutely integral role here. Edmondson emphasized this again in her 2018 work.
So it starts at the top.
It often does, yes. Key behaviors from leaders, like active listening, genuinely listening, consistently soliciting feedback, not just waiting for it, and even demonstrating vulnerability.
Vulnerability, how does that work?
Well, it means things like acknowledging their own mistakes, showing empathy, inviting diverse perspectives, even if they challenge the leader's own view.
Okay.
These actions, they set the tone. They signal that it's okay to be open and authentic within their teams. For example, just a leader admitting, you know what, I was wrong about that project direction. That can instantly build trust. It opens communication in a way that like hours of policy meetings just cannot.
That makes sense. So it's about modeling the behavior.
Precisely. And practical strategies for leaders also include things like providing constructive feedback, not just criticism, encouraging curiosity, creating regular opportunities for dialogue.
Like what kind of opportunities?
Think regular team check-ins, maybe anonymous surveys to get honest input, or open forums for discussion. These help leaders proactively identify and address concerns, which not only enhances trust, but really empowers employees to contribute their best work.
Okay, so that's the ideal scenario, building it up. But what happens on the flip side? What are the real consequences when psychological safety is just absent from a workplace?
Unfortunately, the absence is pretty damaging. It leads to very negative outcomes. Fear-based cultures, they just suppress creativity, they discourage innovation almost entirely.
People are afraid to stick their necks out.
Exactly. They erode trust among employees. Without that safety net, teams are far more likely to experience disengagement, high turnover like we saw with the Gallop data, and significant communication breakdowns. Ultimately, all of this just hurts the company's performance and even its reputation over time. It's that kind of environment where people stay quiet even if they see a huge problem coming because they fear the consequences of speaking up more than the problem itself.
Right. So given all this evidence, all these impacts, it really sounds like psychological safety isn't just a beneficial practice anymore. It's more like a strategic imperative.
I think that's exactly right.
It's truly a competitive advantage in this, constantly changing world.
Absolutely. Organizations that prioritize this cultural element are simply better positioned. They're better positioned to attract and retain top talent. People want to work in these places now. They adapt more quickly to changes, and they drive continuous improvement more effectively.
Yeah, job seekers are looking for this now, aren't they?
They really are. For instance, there was a 2022 study from SHRM, the Society for Human Resource Management. It found that 70% of employees cited workplace culture as a key factor influencing their job satisfaction and their loyalty. 70%.
That's huge.
It is. So companies that genuinely foster psychological safety, they just stand out as employers of choice, especially in industries where collaboration and creativity are absolutely paramount.
And what about navigating change or crises?
Yeah. Furthermore, it's essential for navigating crises and uncertainties. Think about periods of organizational change, mergers, restructuring, market shifts. Employees often experience heightened anxiety, maybe resistance.
Sure.
A psychologically safe environment helps navigate those challenges much more smoothly. It enables honest communication about what's happening, why it's happening. It facilitates collective problem solving to figure out the path forward. And all that leads to greater agility and resilience for the organization as a whole.
What an illuminating depth dive this has been. We've really seen that psychological safety, it's a foundational element for organizational success. It empowers innovation, collaboration, productivity, and those quantitative benefits you mentioned, like improved profitability, enhanced productivity, significantly reduced turnover. They truly highlight its undeniable value. It's not just fluff.
Not at all. And it's worth remembering, leaders are absolutely pivotal in fostering this culture through empathy, through open dialogue, and importantly, by modeling vulnerability themselves. And the risks of neglecting psychological safety are just as clear. Disengagement, stagnation, diminished performance. It's not just about what you gain by having it, but also what you prevent by not losing it.
Right. Well said. As workplaces continue to evolve, it seems psychological safety will remain a critical driver of organizational effectiveness and really a truly sustainable competitive advantage.
I completely agree.
So thinking about all this, what stands out to you from this deep dive, and maybe more practically, how might you start to observe or maybe even foster some elements of psychological safety in your own work environment or interactions? Something to think about.